Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review we are looking at the Kaiyodo. I always called it Kaiyodo and I never paid attention to it. What a goofus. Kaiyodo Revoltech Takeya Buddhist Statue Collection ASHURA. This is another one of those figures that was sent to me for a review, so I'm not entirely familiar with this line at all. I'm not a huge fan of Revoltech in the first place, but we're going to go through the figure so you guys can see if you're interested in it, whether or not, I don't know, but we're going to find out. It does have kind of a cool aesthetic to it. I like the general look of it. It does look really good in some places, and in other places it kind of looks really cheap. Which is, from my experience, that's kind of like all of the Kaiyodo Revoltech figures. They always look kind of good and then kind of horrible at the same time. So let's get them off the stand and look at them up close, and you can make a better decision if you want to pick one up or not. Okay, so this guy stands, including the base, because he's meant to stand on the base, about 7 inches tall, which makes him about 18 centimeters. Now, if you're interested in him without the base, because you can take him off, it's about 6 1/4. And right around 16 1/2 centimeters. So it's not super tiny. A lot of the Revoltech figures are kind of small. This guy's not particularly small. He does have a lot of sculpted detail. A whole bunch. You can see around the chest there, the faces in particular. Lots and lots of detail. It's mostly really nicely sculpted. The problem with this figure really comes in when we get to the articulation. It's so bad. In many cases, it's really, really bad articulation. So it's kind of a problem. Another thing I want to point out, as you might have just noticed, this fell off because it's almost impossible to peg his feet in or on to those pegs. He does have peg holes in his feet, but they don't fit. So that's kind of a problem. I would recommend, if I was the owner of this figure, I would do this. I would drill out the feet just a little bit, just by hand with a drill bit that's the right size for these pegs, and then you'll be good to go. Alright, so let's look at the accessories. You already saw the base. You can see the hands that come on the figure. You have the 2 praying hands in the middle. You have the 2 generic open hands on either side. And then you have 2 gripping hands right here. Now, I'm not sure what they're supposed to be gripping, but we have those. Then we have a hand that holds a bow. At least it looks like a bow to me. I'm not super familiar with ASHURA, but we have that. Then we have one that holds an arrow, which would lead me to believe that the other one is a bow. So we have that. And then we have 2 hands that are holding these yellowish balls. I don't know what those are, but they're nice and translucent and they look cool, so we get those. And then lastly, if you want to count this, you get the little Revoltech storage container with vents in it so the plastic doesn't stink too much when you open it. If you want to store your stuff in there, you can do that. So that's it. Not the most accessories, just a couple of hands really, and the base. So as far as articulation goes on this guy, the arms all have the standard articulation. You have their ratcheted ball hinge at the shoulder and at the elbow for each arm. However, there's basically no range of motion for any of them. You can basically just adjust the positioning. Of course, the elbows work just fine, but they're particularly ugly. They just don't look good. Which is one of the biggest issues with Revoltech. And as you can see, the paint, even though in most places it's pretty good, like on the chest there, if you look at the arm, it looks atrocious. From here to here, there's a complete difference in how it looks. So I don't know what's up with them. And then like the details on the hands, it's very sloppy, I guess is just the best way to put it. So I don't know, it's not great. So you do get the articulation in the hands and the arms and everything, but it's almost unusable. Same thing for this one. The neck, it has the ratcheted ball hinge at the bottom and at the top, so it's particularly difficult to pose the head without taking everything apart, which you can do. You can wiggle it and get it to come apart carefully, especially if you don't own the figure. So you can do that, and then it's easier to pose the figure if you adjust the peg or the ball hinge without the head on there. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. This is also on a ball hinge, this wheel back here, whatever that thing is. But the peg is totally stuck where it's connected, so I can't really move it. But it is on some articulation if you're curious about that. Let's see if I can get it back on. Yeah. All right, now the torso has the same type of joint that you just saw in the neck. You can see the seam back here. That's where it's going to articulate. But again, because of all the clothing and just because of the sculpt, these are all very stiff pieces. You're not going to really get much out of it. This piece is soft right here, and these guys, these two back skirt pieces, these are on the same type of joint, just smaller, and this one's on one also. So those ones can move, but everything else is all fixed. I think these, they feel like they could have a joint, but I can't find it. So I think they're just soft. I'm not sure. But either way, you can't move the hips really at all. And the knees are really horrible. And the ankles have really no range of motion either. So it's just, you're basically buying a statue with slight adjustability. That's it. And it's kind of cool looking, but it's not particularly good. So I'm going to have to go ahead and say don't buy this. It's not particularly great. It's just kind of an example of why I don't like most Revoltech figures. It's close to being really good, but everything that they did was just so not right, so not quite there that the whole thing kind of just has a downside. I do like the head sculpt though. Let's look at that real quick. Very nicely sculpted for the most part. I think the earrings are, yeah, the earrings are individual sculpts, so you can move those if you want to. So that's kind of cool. There are good things about this figure, but on the whole, I have to say I don't recommend it. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.